Welcome to labmiss.com and our lab video series on Cisco ISE 1.3. You can find complete list of ISE video on our website by clicking the link above and sign up for our newsletters to receive the latest video updates. So we're now down to the last video of our ISE 1.3 lab video series, and this one should be rather short videos as we will show you how to have your user log into the ISE web interface using their domain credential, which is usually a preferred method for the larger organization, so you don't need to maintain a local user on ISE. We're also going to configure a role-based type of access, so different type of users will have different type of menu and data visibility on the web interface. And this is by no means a new feature in ISE 1.3, but it's just something that we haven't really covered in the past video series, so I kind of decided that I should include it here. For our lab setup, we have our two nodes ISE 1.3 deployment at the IP of .102 and .103 on our server VLAN, VLAN 32. And on the same VLAN, we have our Windows 2008 domain controller at the IP of .40. To test our ISE administration login, we have prepared two users. The first one is the AD user admin one, which is part of the AD group network admin, who will be getting a full access for both menu and data. And then we also have a second type of user, which is the support one user. That's part of a network support group that will get only a partial access. And this includes the menu option of home, operation, network devices, and the data option of endpoints, all location, and device types. And this is as part of when you go in and add the network devices. So you can select the location and device type. And this is probably a common setup. You being a super admin will get all the access on ISE, and then you probably have a separate help desk support team that only require a limited access to whether to add, remove network devices as they deploy out the new switches or network device and some basic troubleshooting. Let me start by showing you the two Active Directory users that we'll be using in this lab, admin 1 and support 1, under Active Directory computer and user. Here we have our admin 1, which is a member of network admin AD group, and here we have our support 1, that's part of our network support AD group. So the first thing that we need to do is to add those two user groups into ISE so we can use it. And this is under identity management, external identity sources, which is part of our AD integration. On the scope all, we should have a join point of lab minutes. Then we jump over to groups, where we can add our user groups. Click add, select group from directory. Under lab minutes, let's search for a word network, since both of the group contains the word network. Retrieve, and here are our network admin and network support group. Check both of those boxes. Add it and click save. The next thing is to switch on external AD authentication for our admin user login, and that's under administration, admin access. And for authentication, then we can select the identity source, AD lab minutes, although it doesn't seem that you can perform multiple domain authentication. So you still need to have those trust relationship if you want to do multiple domain. Once that enabled, we need now to map our external AD groups to the ISE local admin group, and this is under administrators, admin groups. So by default, these are the list of all the admin groups with the associated privileges to it. But instead of leveraging these, what we're going to do is to add our own groups and then create our own custom role-based access. Right, so we'll add one, we'll call it LM. Network admin, all right, type instead of internal, we'll select external, and this is where you map the external groups to the local admin group. So we're looking for a lab minutes network admin right here. Submit, and you can actually add multiple groups mapping as well. The next one is for our LM network support, again external groups, and map that to lab minutes network support. So now that we're done with the group mapping, we need to create some of the permissions, an authorization permission, and this determines what type of access the user will have based on the menu access, which is the availability of all these menus that we're seeing on the web interface, and the type of data access, which is what type of data that will be visible to that user. Since our network admin group of users will get full access, we're just going to probably leverage the default super admin right here menu access, which is pretty much includes all of the menu options. But since we want to kind of customize our access for the support or network support group to only allow home, operation, network devices menus to them, then we need to create one called LM network support menu. And here, this is where you can pick and choose which menu exactly you want to be available to your user. And this is, you can just select on it and then switch the permission between show or hide. So for home, we want it to be visible. We want the operation to be visible as well for troubleshooting purposes. And we also want our user under network support to be able to add network devices. And that would be under administration, network resources, down all the way down to the network device menu option. Right, so make it show that. Click submit. Right, just because the user has access to certain menus, we might not want to have all the data visible to them. And this is where the data access comes in, since we only want to show the endpoint data and the location device type data. To our support user here, LM network support data is what we're going to call for the name. And then we're looking for identity for the endpoint. So we'll select endpoint identity group. So our user will be able to see all of the endpoints under this identity group. Click full access. And then we want to show our user all the locations and all the device type. Right, and then you can get a little bit more granular as per device type. So let's say we want to show all of them, switch, controller, firewall. Same thing with endpoint identity group. Let's say we only want to show the profile one. Click submit. Next, we need to tie the group membership to the privileges for both menu and data access, and this is done under the authorization policy. By default, there should be a number of policies available already, and you can actually leverage any one of these if your requirement is already supported based on the default permission. So things like if you know that your user is going to get a super admin privilege, then all you need to do is just add it right here on top of what's already there by default. Let's go ahead and create some new ones here for both of our user types. Insert new policy. The first one will be for our LM network admin. For the group, we mapped it to a brand new group that we created, LM network admin. And then we're going to use the default permission that's already available, which is super admin menu access. And to make sure that this user get all access for the data as well, we're going to select super admin data access. Then let's insert one more rule for our network support user. Admin group is our LM network support. Then for the custom menu access is our network support menus, and for the custom data access is our network support data. So as simple as that, just map the group to their permission, click save. And that's pretty much all you need to do. Now we can go ahead and test our user login. I'm going to use a domain computer here that should have access to the network already. Just Win7 test 1. Let's bring up our browser. Then go to HTTPS, hit our primary admin node, which is 32.102. Right, and the first thing we see differently is the ability to select your identity source. You can do your AD domain, or if you want to continue using a local admin account, then you'll select internal. Let's go ahead and log in with our first admin one. User, log in. Right, and since it's the first time, it's just prompting us about eval copy, so that's fine. But the most important thing is our user admin one here would be able to see all of these menus options as well as the data. All right, so you can see that we shouldn't be missing any menu options here. And just to test on the data side, we can click under identity. We should be seeing all the endpoints. All right. So everything is working just fine with the user admin one. That's pretty simple. Let's log out and log back in using our support one account. Log in. All right, same warning. Okay. And the first thing that you notice here that our menu options that we can see is very limited. We got our home menu options, we got our operations, and under administration, all we're seeing is the network devices, right? And we can click into that, pretend that we are going to add a network device. So you can click add, and you see both locations and device type, which is part of our data access. But as far as the endpoints, since we are not allowing the user to access the endpoint menus, it's kind of irrelevant whether or not the user has access to the data. Just keep in mind that the menu option has to be permitted first before the user will be able to view the data under those menus. All right, so log out, and one last login test is to get back using original user local admin. Just need to make sure that your identity source is switched over to internal, and this is more like a backdoor access from that point forward, since everybody should be logging in using their AD accounts now, or it could be like a consultant accounts who do not have an AD account and you just want to create a local account for them on ISE. But you see that you'll be able to continue using the ISE local account no problem. Alright, so it's very straightforward, and that's pretty much all I would like to show you as far as configuring ISE to support AD users for logging into the ISE web interface. And that's pretty much wraps up our video on ISE 1.3 administration login. You can visit our website to view an extensive list of our lab videos and sign up to get access to additional lab contents. Thank you for watching labminutes.com and our ISE 1.3 lab videos, and I will definitely see you guys in our next video series.